Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel. And I wanted to start out today's show with a montage that I'm going to upload actually after this show. But I'm going to show it to you now so you can see it. And it's from the series Supernatural. And we had talked a little bit about Croatoan. Well, there was one last episode that I had not decoded yet. And that's what you're going to see next. And it seemed to foreshadow the coming spamdemic. And as soon as I realize we're connected here, I'm going to go ahead and play this montage for you guys so you can see what's going on. Now, it's from the episode called The End. Season 5, Episode 4, all the way back in October 1st, 2009. The first thing that you see is one of the characters basically being propelled into the future 5 years. And what ends up happening is he sees the end of the world. The first thing he sees, he walks out and sees this theater with a crown on top. We all know what the crown is. Now it's interesting because you can look at the Mayan numbering system, and the number for 19 looks a lot like a crown with 4 dots on top, and like they call this pancakes or hamburger, which is actually used, you can actually see it right here on my screen, in the browsers. They call it like a hamburger or a pancake, and basically it symbolizes several layers to something. But look at the number 19 in the Mayan numbering system and compare that to the crown seen here. Now the character enters the future and realizes that the Croatoan virus has taken over the world and infected all of mankind. Does that ring a bell? Let's watch this and see what else we can find in here. Now, of course, when you scramble the word Croatoan, it spells coronata. Coronata, which means crowned.
Oh, crap. 14. August 1st, 2014.
So he's propelled into the future from 2009, 5 years into 2014. Now listen to this.
See you in 5 years, Dane. August 1st, 2014. See you in 5 years, Dane. August 1st, 2014. See you in 5 years, Dane.
I thought I smelled your stink on this Back to the Future crap.
President Palin defends bombing of Houston.
Now, what he meant was see you in 5 years back in the past, but the inference is into the future. 2019, the end of 2019, marked the beginning of our modern Croatoan coronata worldwide spamdemic, did it not?
Croatoan pandemic reaches Australia.
They mention Australia, which is basically the poster child for what they really want to do around the world, but can't do because people are pushing back.
Certainly a buyer's market in real estate.
Future crap.
President Palin defends bombing of Houston. Certainly a buyer's market in real estate.
So they talk about President Palin. Obviously, that did not happen since 2009. But look here, they show Texas to blame for seceding from the Union. Now, as far as I know, Texas seceding from the Union was not being talked about in 2009 when this aired. Let's keep watching.
This is what happens to the world if you continue to say no to Michael.
Turns people into monsters.
So basically, they send him to the future to show him what will happen if he doesn't follow Michael's direction. Let's turn this up a little bit. And so basically the world ends because of the Croatoan. Watch.
Started hitting the major cities about 2 years ago. World really went in the crapper after that. Croatoan virus, right? That's their end game. It's efficient, it's incurable, and it's scary as hell.
Some free advice?
So there you heard it. Now, if you're on the fence here, because look, I understand people come to the channel and they might be seeing this for the first time going, you know, that could be anything. Well, listen to this next part. This will seal the deal for you.
Some free advice? Ever get back there? You hoard toilet paper.
Thanks, Chuck.
Oh, you'll thank me all right. Mark my words. You understand me? Hoard it. Hoard it like it's made of gold. Because it is.
So there you heard the hoarding toilet paper, which is exactly what happened 5 years after 2014. Well, it was the beginning of the spamdemic. So it was pointing forward. So hopefully you understand this timeline. The episode aired in 2009, in which the character travels to the future, 2014, and his brother says, see you in 5 years, which would be 2019, or going backwards would go back to 2009. That's the timeline. So I'll upload this montage later this morning. I have it premiering so that you guys can have it. You can spread it because people need to see the truth. Now let's get into some other aspects of the show, Supernatural, because this is very important. Let's go back here. I didn't know that was playing in the background. Okay, here we go. Now, we all remember this clip from My Pet Goat 2, right? Where Lily drops the apple, it rolls across the floor, and it opens into this lotus. Now, some people believe this could be a lily, but I found images that seem to also match up with a lotus. They're very similar plants, actually, very similar flowers. But I'm going to show you how this is most likely a lotus, even though her name is Lily. And a lot of people say, that's not a lotus, it's a lily. Well, look up pink lotus and you'll see all kinds of images of the pink lotus that look just like what you're going to see next. Now, the apple opens up. Now, we've got some new information today, so I'm glad you guys were able to make it to the channel. New information on what these twisting seeds mean. Okay, because this is all about twisting of the seed. The apple, which is the root word for Apollo, apple. Now, if you think that's weird, I'm going to show you Apollo's birthday inside the lotus flower. Watch. So the seeds twist, the lotus flower opens, and you're going to see Obama possessed, looking possessed in his eyes here, sweating, looking down at the lotus flower. But let's look back at this lotus flower and take a closer look at this, because there's something weird going on with this lotus flower. Now, what you're about to see next, we had discovered back in 2013 when we were taking a very close look at this lotus flower. You can actually count the center yellow parts of the flower. There are exactly 12. And when you count the pink leaves of the flower, there are 25. 12 and 12, 25 is Christmas, which is Apollo's birthday. And this is why I believe that the apple is Apollo and representing this demonic spirit that is possessing presidents as well as clowns and all kinds of other things. Now, 1225 also marks the date when VidCo-19 was actually detected in China. So there's a lot going on here. There's also a C here, which could represent China or CV or the crowning, C for crown. Now, why do I say that? Well, here's the ancient child, Horus, coming up out of a lotus flower. This is called the lotus child, or the Horus child, coming up out of this lotus flower. Now, it is said that he was born out of a lotus. So when you have something being born out of a lotus, it looks a lot like what we're seeing here in iPet Goat 2, doesn't it? Now, I told you this was new information, and so these are additional aspects to this. Now, no one of these interpretations is the only interpretation for any of these images in iPet Go 2. I believe that these interpretations are layered, like nested interpretations. In other words, one scene could mean 5 or 10 or 15 different things. Now, how do we know that? Well, the Bible tells us that, or what we've learned from the Bible is that there are multiple meanings for different passages in the Bible and parables. Parables that Jesus talked about didn't have just one meaning. We found additional layered meanings that support and reiterate the original message, the nested reality. We are trees. We are fruit from trees. The fruit of the womb is mentioned in the Bible. We were in the garden amongst all the other trees. Okay? And then when a child is conceived in the womb, it's a seed within a seed. Things within things. So this is our nested reality. There are many, many layers of truths that reinforce the original truth. So this is weird, right? You've got Horus coming up out of this lotus. Now, how do I know all this? Well, looks like we got an issue here. Whatever I had pulled up there, they kicked me off of. Well, here is the crown here. Look at this. Oh, I know what that was. That was the art piece, the lotus that the T-Rump gave to the Pope. And I was wondering if that had something to do with this demonic possession and him being aware of it. And for some reason, when you sit on that server, and this has happened to me before, then they basically kick you off. They don't want people talking and looking at that particular image. Let's try to look it up again. Now, if I go out and come back in, then it should reload again, unless I'm still kicked off. Here it is. This is what we had pulled up there. Now, here's what he gave the Pope. It's a blue lotus. And so you have to ask yourself, is this an acknowledgement of whatever happened? This clown possession. Now, let's get back to this crown that Horus is wearing. If you look here on top of his head, this is a crown. So guess what? Now we have a connection between a crown and this image in iPet Go 2. Do we not? We have a connection here because this is what you're basically looking at is a crown in Horus or Apollo being birthed out of the lotus. Look at this. This is called the Him crown is what it's called. You can see the match here. This is it. The Him crown. Let's go back to same thing. It's called a triple atef. And basically what this was a shout or a cry used in war rituals back in ancient Egypt. Okay? And it says right in here that in fact the child was birthed out of this crown. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. It says, a solar child inside a lotus flower. Rebirth. So, is this scene in iPet Go 2 now starting to make sense? Apollo being birthed, the solar child being birthed into this reality, which is, of course, the Antichrist through the crown. Now, this supports everything we've been talking about, Revelation 6:2, talking about the white horse, Apollyon, with a crown and a toxon or a bow. It supports everything we've been talking about. It's come full circle and has been reinforced. So this is the scream crown, you call it. And you saw the similarities of the seed coming up out of the lotus, twisting with the seed of man. Let's back that up a little bit. And of course, compared to the Horus coming up out of the lotus, it's pretty much undeniable at this point. And then we got the crown aspect pointing forward to the crown virus. So, in 2016, just after the election, the episode that you're going to see next from Supernatural aired. The episode is actually called Lotus, and it's a play on the word POTUS, which is President of the United States. Now, why do they call it Lotus? Because the president is possessed by Lucifer. So POTUS becomes Lucifer of the United States. And this is right out of their own description. This isn't me saying this. This is them saying it. That this is a play on the words POTUS. So now we know what the scene really means in I, Pet, Goat 2. It was about demonic possession of the presidents. Bush became Obama, became T-Rump, became Bo Jiven. They're shape-shifting killer clowns. So, this was 2016, and this aired just after T-Rump won the presidency, but only by like a month. So, obviously, this was filmed long before this. But yet, look at this. What do we have here? 45. That's President 45, Indianapolis, Indiana, which was, of course, where the vice president was from, Penny Pence. And so, basically, they knew who was going to be president. Penny Pence, 45. This episode was filmed long before the election.
We have a plan?
Impeach Lotus and find Rosemary's baby.
So, what ends up happening is after the Lucifer possesses the president, he impregnates this woman, and they have a Nephilim evil child. Now, I also actually decoded 1988's film Killer Klowns from Outer Space, and I believe that the clowns are the demon-possessed presidents. Now, we all know that Kamala means lotus, and originally I thought that maybe she would play a part in all this demon possession. But now, the more I'm thinking about all this, I believe that her name just signals the possession of the presidents, that it has taken place and is taking place. And so, I mean, not to say she's not going to be a factor in all this, but it remains to be seen. Now, we all know that lotuses grow in swamps. And remember, T-Rump was all about draining the swamp, but he really never drained it, didn't he? In fact, a lotus was birthed out of it, Kamala and a new president being possessed. Now, on yesterday or the day before show, we talked about the presidents that are inside of I, Pet, Goat 2, that they paired really well with the last two presidents. So we had Bush, Obama, and then we have Biden and Trump, right? And that we were thinking that this possession, the modern possession, likely started with Bush, okay? Could have went back one more to Clinton, I don't know. But there's something weird about these last four presidents. And what you see here is them shape-shifting into one another, okay? Now, why does Bush and Obama pair well with Bo Jiven and T-Rump? Well, remember, it's all about how the other side perceives the president. So the left perceived Bush in much of the same way. They had much of the same criticisms as they did about T-Rump, right? They believed that, he was all about money. They believed he was of low intelligence. Now, of course, none of these people are of low intelligence. They just play a role that they are. Okay? And then how does Biden pair with Obama? Well, it's very obvious. He was his vice president. So, here's the transformation between the two. But very clown-like, right? And then he turns into Obama. And you guys have all seen this scene here. Head spins around. I've got it in slow motion so you can get the gist of this. But there you go. He turns into Obama. And that is the transformation. The clown demon, basically. So, what else do we have here? Okay, let's go back to this here. Let's listen.
A Nephilim has come into being. It's the offspring of an angel and a human, but the power that produced this is immense. It's much, much greater than a typical angel.
Lucifer. And Lucifer has found the perfect safe house.
So they're like, there's a demon child that is being conceived. We gotta go track it down. So the Winchester brothers track Lucifer, the president, to a ranch, and he calls it a circus, confirming some of our earlier suspicions that a demon clown is what is possessing these presidents.
I mean, how do we even start getting close to the president?
Lucifer can't be returned to the cage inside his vessel. His essence has to be extracted.
Right now it looks like his whole party, aid, Secret Service, the whole circus is staying at an estate owned by Ron Forrester. The party, aid, Secret Service, the whole circus.
Midwest.
Yeah, right now it looks like his whole party, aid, Secret Service, the whole circus is staying at an estate owned by Ron Forrester.
Oh, this is
Now we rewind all the way back to 1988, which just so happens to be 33 years ago, to a film called Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Now, this was a comedy horror, and it's a cross between The Matrix and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Is the best way I could explain this film. Now, basically, the plot goes like this. These alien clowns land in a circus tent which doubles as a fun house, and they're quietly taking over the town by shooting the residents of the town with this weapon that turns them into a cotton candy cocoon, basically. Now, what's weird about this film, and the reason why we're covering it, is because some of the symbolism in this film is actually happening right now, like the hive mind matrix. So what happens is these clowns, they capture these people in these pink cotton candy cocoons, and then they hang them like dormant bees in a hive. And then they suck out their juices with this crazy straw. Remember the crazy straw from the 1990s? It was like a loopy straw. Let's keep watching this because you're going to see the yellow and black, which symbolizes, of course, the bees and wasps, which have stingers, of course. And a straw is like a hypo needle used to draw out the pink acrinodrome. Watch.
Incredible. Looks like they got the whole town. Yellow. All right.
There you see the yellow and black. That's the giveaway. And these almost look like stingers that they're hanging from, almost.
Possible, Mike.
Sorry.
Possible, Mike.
This to me is like the T-Rump character here. Closest. Now, all these clowns, you'll notice, look a lot like presidents. There's one that looks like Bo Jivin as well. So there's the crazy straw doubling as a syringe to suck out the acrinodrome, which of course is pink. There are actually some girl clowns in this movie. One of them looks like Hillary Clinton. It's just bizarre. What a weird. Let's go over here. Let's find. Oh, here we go. Okay, you guys are going to laugh. These are the clown girls, and they have like this cameo. Let me get this close up of them. One of them has inflatable boobies that are balloons, and these very much look like some of the female candidates for the presidency. So that's kind of weird, right? Okay, let's go back here and watch the rest of this. Now, here's your 99 red balloons scene. They walk into a very specifically created set in which they walk through all these red balloons. And we've seen this symbolism before repeated, and it's repeated again in this movie. Now, these demons come from deep within the pit, just like the anglerfish, and that's why the anglerfish is inside their spaceship, is because that's where they come from, the pit. Now, these anglerfish are only seen in very, very deep trenches in the world. That's why they have a light here on the front of their snout or whatever. Now, if you think this is all just silly conjecture, just keep watching because it gets even more specific.
You will obey. Let them go.
So they try to escape. Basically, this king clown comes out, the clown of all clowns. He's like a Nephilim giant. He traipses out, and they jump in these brothers' ice cream truck. They run an ice cream truck business. They're kind of like the laughing stock of the town. And look what's painted on the side of the ice cream truck. Jojo. Now, who is Jojo? Well, all these clowns are the same, okay? So you've got Don, Joe on, T-Rump, and you've got Joe Jivin, Joe and Joe. So they're the two clowns. Now, some people aren't going to like that, but understand that all of these presidents are all on the same side. It's a clown show. That's exactly what it is. And we're the dumb ones that tune in for entertainment and think that they're different. They're all just in the same circus. Let's keep watching. Now, this is the one that I think looks like... This is the one I think looks like Bo Jivin. It's the clown show. I mean, they act so clown-like, too. You know, with their gestures and, Bo Jivin sniffing hair. This is the stuff clowns do. Let's keep watching.
Come on, Mike. Come on, Debbie. Come on, Rick. I'm trying.
I mean, look at all these clowns. Let's take a look at these clowns. Okay, look at this guy. Kind of looks like Bo Jivin. Weird. So here's all the clowns, right? The clown show. These are all the presidents. Now, earlier this week, we had discovered the needle and clown connection. And I thought about this for a second, and I pontificated and prayed about it. And I was like, God, what is the root of this helium thing? What is the root of it? Like, we know that helium is inside of the balloons that the clowns ride on. And so, but what is the deeper connection? We know that helium is Helios. Helios, or helium was named after Helios. And then it was revealed to me. Clowns are full of evil helium air, which is a demonic spirit. That's what it's all about. It's about being filled with something. The possession, the Lotus. I was like blown away that it took us this long to figure that out. But it makes perfect sense because in this film, these clowns are full of the helium air. And the only thing that defeats them is a needle. And they pop their nose and they basically explode. They deflate them. Or should we say defeat them? Notice how defeat and deflate. are almost the same word. So, the helium is the demonic spirit possessing the vessel. That's what it is. Now watch this part, because it's interesting that Bo Jiven is trying to poke the cops with needles, but in the Killer Klowns, it's the cop who pokes the boss clown with a needle. Look at, he pulls off his badge. So this is all happening in reverse, right? It's a, what do you call it? They're flipping the script. Role reversal. They like to do this. It's mockery. You know, the cops think they have all this power, but in the end, they're probably going to drag in the National Guard anyway. And we're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show, Between the Headlines. I already pre-recorded it. We'll do a premiere tomorrow morning, exact same time. And we'll show you how this National Guard meme, which is made up of ex-soldiers from the theater overseas, dangerous people, and they're now home. They have nowhere to go. The ones that did take the Jabberwocky are now going to be ready to follow orders, and they will just join other parts of the military here at home because the overseas roles are now dwindling because they don't have any use for them anymore. They've been used. And so just because the cops are making a stand, all that does is open the door for the National Guard. He spins in a circle and explodes. Blows up the whole circus tent. Casey, how do you make all this stuff up? Well, keep watching. Killer Klowns from Outer Space. These are the Chiodo brothers. What does their name mean? It means nail. You know, like the one that was used to poke the nose of the clown and the one that's used to jabber everybody. It means nail. And they are the 666th most popular surname, according to forebears' last names. So, now you still think I'm making all this up? Of course not. Now, when you invert this number, it's a 19, isn't it? Everything is upside down in this world. Now this keeps going. There's more symbolism because back in 1988, they already knew about Gomo corn, San Monto. And in the film, it spawns new clowns. In other words, it reproduces these clowns in this grotesque form using popcorn, which again, I believe is San Monto. I'm saying that funny because of YouTube.
Why popcorn? Because the clowns, that's why.
So they spray them with popcorn, knowing that that's going to spread the seed. She puts all her things in the laundry basket, and out pops new clowns. I can barely watch this stuff, but, you know, it's important to decode these things to show you the symbolism going back decades. Now, how does this happen? People have been born and died since the 80s. You know, it's because it's the spirit behind it. He's the script writer. The script. He's trying to copy the scriptures with his own script. So the script writers basically are telling the devil's story. Now, just before the big top explodes, it pulls up its tentacles, right? Because that's what they pretty much are. Pulls up its tentacles into the big top, and they, to me, look like Hydra squid tentacles. Watch. So these beams have been around for a very, very long time. let's look up Hydra, just so I can show you some images that compare to what you just saw of the tentacles of the big top. Okay. That's what they were, I believe, getting at with that imagery. So these memes have been around for decades, and I'm sure if we looked at other clown films, we would see this exact same themes repeating. Okay. And so crazy. Now, a couple of you, now I didn't know about Killer Klowns, but I didn't just go looking for every clown movie I could find to try to make a video. Some of you were the ones that suggested I look at this. And at first I was like, this is silly. But I looked at it because it basically aired in 1988. And that was a very important year, 1988. That's why I looked at it. Might not have looked at it hadn't it been for the year, which was 33 years ago. And lo and behold, look at all the symbolism inside of the film. All right, let's go into the chat. Crazy times, you guys. Yes, like fractal patterns that keep repeating. Afro Samurai, exactly. Devil's in the details. Hydra, some people says it's in the Jabberwocky. Bubble Gun says 7 grains. Travis Tritt, Country Star. Yes, we're going to cover that tomorrow, Tom. Thanks for that. That's in the headlines show tomorrow. I already recorded that, so that's why I know that. Oh, Stranger Things and the Hydra. Interesting. Yeah, the 88 is huge. It's huge. Oh, sure. Let's approve her thing there. Okay, so what else do we have here? Eric asks if I think the V is the mark. I believe it's a precursor to the mark. You guys, they're starting to wind this thing down as we speak. I don't know. They might change directions of it. The world's never going to be the same because all they got to do is turn the knob back on whenever they want to. But there are several other... Here's my thoughts in a nutshell. There are several other things in Revelation that have to happen before the mark comes, right? This is just my interpretation. I'm not saying this is the absolute truth. This is just my understanding because I've thought a lot about this, and I talked to a lot of you guys. Okay, I actually listen to what you say. And apparently the book of Revelation talks about the Antichrist being revealed, and then there also being signs and wonders being done by the Antichrist. I don't think any of that's happened yet. And there's a second beast that emerges, and the first beast causes everyone to worship the second beast. Then there is the mark. So that's what I read in Revelation. So when I say precursor, I'm not saying that there's precursors in the Bible. What I'm saying is the enemy likes to practice. They like to do practice runs before they do things. Okay? So that's what this is. And they like to also fake out Christians so that when the real thing comes... Okay, let me give you an example. Notice how the controllers keep talking about the new peace and security, right? They keep talking about peace and security. Well, why do you think they do that? Because in the Bible, it says when they say peace and security, then the end will come. So do you see what's going on now? They're faking out God's people. And every time they get up in front of the UN and say peace and security, everybody says, oh, that means the end's here. That means the end's here, right? It's a fake out. Well, why wouldn't they do that with the Pokemon sticker? Of course they would do that. So this could be a fake out. Okay? So that's all I'm saying. Now, I don't know that for sure. I hope it's not the mark. But I can tell you this. Any sane Christian would not be taking this. All right? And I won't, and I know a lot of you won't. So does it really matter if it's the mark or not? Not really. Because you've already made your choice. You've made your decision of what you're going to do. Are you going to like believe that Jesus has your soul no matter what happens to you? Are you going to try to preserve your life to only to lose it? There's a lot of biblical precedent for whether you decide to or decide not to. Now, I understand for some of you, it's not about you taking it or not. It's about your family members, and you're concerned about them. You're concerned if they are damned, okay? And that's a very real concern. I have that concern as well about people that I know have taken it, and people are afraid for them. But I don't have the answer for you on that. I don't have all the answers, you guys. I don't have all the answers. And I'm not going to condemn people who say it is or say it isn't, because none of us really knows. So that's what I have to say about that. Great question. Appreciate that question. So now I did do a video on Revelation and breaking down what it means to both take the mark and worship the beast. There are like 3 scriptures that talk about that. And the chosen ones, the 144,000, neither took the mark nor worshiped the beast. There are 2 actions that have to happen there. Okay. So we did do a video on that. And it's probably 2 or 3 months old. But 2 things have to happen, because one of the books in Revelations, one of the chapters, says that they caused all. It says caused all to take it. Now, obviously, that's not all, because 144,000 don't take it. But the inference there is that they deceived them. And it even says in there, who were deceived, who took the mark. So, can you take the mark and then not worship the beast? Maybe that's a way out for some people, if this is in fact the mark. So those are just some thoughts. You might want to take a look at that video where I document all that. I'll give you some, wow, my left ear just started ringing. That's weird. Just like all of a sudden, like a tone. I wish I knew my tones better. I could tell you what note that is, but that's weird. So, what else do we have here? You guys, the Bible is clear. The only way out is Jesus Christ. Yeshua, Yahushua. There are different variations on the way to say his name. I heard one channel say Yahuwashi or something like that. So, whatever the case may be, he knows your heart. He knows who you're talking to. And he is the only way out. It's plain and simple. I don't know, yeah, we talk about all this stuff and bring this up and we discuss it. And it's important to discuss these things, because then you're not deceived. If you don't watch a channel like this, then you're going to be walking in all kinds of pitfalls. You're going to be the kind of Christian who votes for a man, who voted for T-Rump. You might even be the kind of Christian who went to the Croatoan and got arrested. You might even be the kind of Christian who still celebrates these satanic holidays that breaks God's heart. And so that's the importance of watching a channel like this, okay? It's not because you have to watch this channel to be saved, but do you really want to go through the big box Christian experience where you walk into all of these pitfalls that the devil has laid for us? Or do you want to know the truth and really know what the enemy is up to so you can avoid the pitfalls? That's all. That's all we're doing here, you guys. Well, I'm not going to have some bombshell discovery that's going to change the world. Mostly this is a channel to keep us on point, to keep us out of the devil's grasp, to keep us from making choices like the big choice that everybody's making right now or not making, that we can't talk about. And so that's what we're doing here, okay? This isn't any other thing other than that. And all of the glory always goes back to the Most High and his Son. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So, yes, the truth shall set you free. Now, obviously, what the big box Christians are doing isn't working because they're still falling into these pitfalls, right? They keep saying that, oh, all you need is us. All you need is this church. All you need is this pastor. But then look at all the things they're stepping into, right? And they're saying, oh, those people, they don't talk about the gospel enough, for instance. Or, should they really be looking into those things? Well, obviously, the things we're looking into is helping the people open their eyes and not step in the pitfalls. That's all. Now, I'm not saying that all the people that go to 501c3 churches are, going to hell. That's not what I'm saying either. I'm saying that your walk will be a lot more difficult because you're walking right into the booby traps of the enemy. Also, we try to give you guys tools to combat misinfo about the Bible, okay? Whereas big box Christianity doesn't give you those tools. They say, oh, don't care about what the rest of the world's saying. Just follow the gospel, listen to the pastor, and just have your faith. And if someone asks you about your faith, just say that you have faith. And this is your personal belief. Well, wouldn't you rather be armed with knowledge about how to combat an atheist, for instance, or debate a person who's trying to talk you out of your belief? And so these are the tools that I try to help you guys with. The fact that there are ancient scrolls from before Jesus walked the earth that have been found that coincide almost exactly with the modern Bible. The problem with the modern Bible is how it's been interpreted. It's not that the text has been altered in terms of the core message of the actual verses and scriptures. It's the interpretation of those words. So when you go back to the ancient scrolls with any kind of mechanical Bible, you don't have to use the Q Bible, which is the one I use. You could use any mechanical Bible, and they have them online now where you can just hover over a certain word and see and click on it and see where that word, that exact Hebrew or Aramaic word, was translated in other verses to see if it was translated correctly. It's that simple. So now you have tools. So now when someone says to you, oh, your Bible is written by Freemasons, your King James Version was written by Freemasons. Well, do you ever hear a pastor give a talk on the legitimacy of the Bible and how we can prove that the Bible is real? That Freemasons, all they did was try to discredit the Bible by creating the versions of the Bible and transliterating it. That doesn't make them the authors of the Bible. There weren't Freemasons back when the original authors wrote the Bible. Okay, so these are tools that you can use, okay? You can also talk about the miracle, that there were no changes. That, you guys, there were hundreds of years in history where the Bibles were all collected or written in Latin, where no one had access to them. It was called the Dark Ages, okay? So to find, in modern times, in the 1940s, to find ancient scrolls and compare those to the modern Bibles, knowing that there was this large period where there was nothing, and them to be almost dead on accurate, is a miracle. That means God preserved his word. You see? So there's a lot more to it than that, but those are the basics. When people ask you or try to call out, or, okay, let me give you this one. There's videos going around talking about, oh, the Bible is just a copy of the ancient Egyptian mythology. Okay, this is what some people try to say. That's incorrect. That is incorrect. First of all, their dating techniques are invalid. They want to say how old these pyramids are, but are they really that old? How much of that was added later? Also, the story of Christ, the concept of Christ, went all the way back to the book of Genesis. Clearly much older than anything they're talking about, because that was the beginning of the world. Now, of course, it was written down later, but this is why they like these huge timelines. This is why they like to talk about civilizations from 10 and 20,000 years ago, because they're trying to predate the actual lifespan of Earth. They're trying to predate that so that they can discredit God. That's the whole purpose of it. Okay? So, Genesis is the earliest Bible. It's the beginning of human history. And in the book of Genesis, is the prophecy of the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. And that prophecy raged on throughout history, starting with Cain and Abel. The serpent bruising her in the heel and her bruising him in the head. Cain, the seed of the serpent, killed his brother Abel. Seth was then born from Adam. The two bloodlines are mentioned separately in the Bible. Why would they talk about Cain's bloodline and talk about all the people in his bloodline separate from the bloodline of Adam? Because they were two separate bloodlines. And then that whole thing translated to Noah. Noah was the pure line of the woman. The Nephilim were the unpure line. The theme continues throughout the entire Bible. Then it goes to the Israelites after the flood. They were the pure seed of the woman, from which Jesus came, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, battling what? Battling giants. Again, the seed of the serpent. And this just keeps going on and on and on throughout the Bible until Jesus came. And even then, the nails of the cross bruised him in the heel, didn't it? Why is the serpent always trying to poke us with stuff? Is the question you need to be asking. And all of this legitimizes the Bible. All of it. The very fact that every day we come on here, we show you biblical themes in mainstream entertainment where it should not be. But yet, there it is. That proves the Bible, because the enemy is in control of entertainment media and he's trying to create a different story. He's bragging, he's doing some bragging, he's doing some sorcery by basically getting your consent, because you guys all watch the entertainment media, and the people that are asleep clap and applaud and give the actors their energy and time and worship. They've got posters of the actors. And God's just scratching his head and going, can't you see the themes here? It's to the point where the enemy will actually name these characters right out of the Bible. And people still don't get it. It's like there's some kind of mind control going on in this world where people can watch entertainment media and watch a character named Abraham or Isaac or so-and-so or so-and-so and still not understand that they're watching the Bible on the screen, but it's being twisted to trick you. They still don't get it. It's unbelievable. So that's what we do on this channel. We break all that down, make sense of it all, show the lies that are beneath the surface. So anyway, thought I would give you guys a little insight on that. Whoever asked that question, that was a good question. Okay. They are under mind control. Yes, Milan. And they think we are the ones that are under some kind of mind control. All we're doing is putting the puzzle pieces together. That's all we're doing. We're showing you the patterns. And yes, we spend a lot of time on it. But I think everyone can agree that this work is important. You know, because who else is doing this work? There's people that decode things, but we just go from decode to decode and we put all the puzzle pieces together. Like this clown meme. Who would have known that all these deep memes are hiding beneath the surface with these clowns? I didn't know till I dug into it. I don't like clowns. I was hesitant to dig into it, but I follow what the Holy Spirit tells me. I don't do things that I'm comfortable with. I do things that the Holy Spirit tells me to do. And he's like, Casey, you need to uncover this it clown. As creepy as this thing is, you need to show people what this demonic clown is really all about and what the helium is really about. So I love each and every one of you. And I will see you guys tomorrow for Between the Headlines. For our premiere, it will be premiere, it won't be live. But what that will mean is that I will be in the chat with you guys tomorrow, most likely. And I think I have it set up for 8:30. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Much love. Take care and be safe, everybody.